I'm David, host of CityBlockchainSummit webinars and Building the Blockchain podcast. I'm here with Morgan and Blake from ITrustCapital, and they have a exciting new way to find a way to invest in cryptocurrency. And we're talking about having the best way and the smartest way to invest in a self-directed IRA. How are you doing, Morgan and Blake?
Doing great. Thank you for having us today.
Great. Thanks. Thanks for coming on. And I just want to learn a little bit about how you got into starting off in the business, and then you can talk a little bit about the iTrust.
Sure, I'll go first. This is Morgan. So I've been in retirement accounts, precious metals, Forex for about 20 years with the focus in retirement accounts. In 2012, I was introduced into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and got in pretty early. Got really enthralled and excited by this new form of money. And I left where I had been working and joined a firm where I was one of the first people in on the very first company that was compliantly allowed to put crypto into IRAs. It was fantastic, learned a lot, and I left and I started the second company in the space, increased the offerings, clients. Was there for a while, but noticed some holes and was bothered by those high fees. So I left. That was actually where I had met Blake, and we started ITrustCapital. And we'll go into ITrustCapital, but we've been doing this a long time, and it's an exciting time. So I'm glad everybody's watching.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. I'm Blake Skadron. I'm the co-founder and COO of ITrustCapital. I've spent the last 10 years in the alternative investment space. I was mostly on the precious metal side with a few different companies, and then more recently got involved with cryptocurrency and meeting Morgan a couple of years ago. So what we did was, after learning all the different business models, all the different companies, seeing the good and the bad of the industry and all the problems that exist with the current models that are out there, we decided to start ITrustCapital to solve those problems.
Okay. And can you talk to us a little bit about how you got started with the crypto investment and the platform, the ITrustCapital platform?
Yeah. So it's kind of a funny world. So almost every company that offers cryptocurrency and IRA today started off as a gold company. Some still offer gold, some no longer do. But they took the same exact business model and just applied it to cryptocurrency. So being that I was in gold and Morgan had done both, we're very familiar with that, and we thought we can do it better. In fact, we thought we can do it a lot better. And that's where we are today with the launching of iTrust here recently, and incorporating these alternative investments like cryptocurrency. We'll soon be announcing that we're going to, the way that we'll be doing physical gold, which is a new way, completely different than everybody else. And the fact of the matter is that there's a real hole in this space, meaning the big traditional financial institutions that do IRAs, like Fidelity or Vanguard, they don't offer these types of investments. So it's left to all these other companies out there, and it's been kind of like the Wild West the last few years, watching how the space has developed, and we're bringing a little sanity to the entire industry.
Amen.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thanks. And I think you wanted to start showing us a few slides of
yeah, we figure it's going to be best to have some visual and some kind of run through what we do and how we do it, some of the problems that exist and how we're solving them, and also going over, as Morgan mentioned, our fee structure and some of our partnerships, so that people can get a very good understanding and learn about the benefits of our platform, and then make a decision if it's something that's right for them.
Okay, thank you.
So if you would, guys, I'll go ahead and take over the screen. Everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So As Morgan mentioned and myself, so we've started ITrust Capital. We are live. Customers are onboarding daily. We have built the smartest way to invest in cryptocurrency, period. With ITrust Capital's platform, you can execute easy trades. We offer secure storage and, of course, substantial tax benefits with every account. So as I'm sure this audience already will know, millions of Americans are already investing in cryptocurrency. The most recent report I saw was somewhere between 10 and 15 million. In the last survey, they estimate have made these types of investments. Now, for those who have made investments like this process is going to look very familiar. So this is kind of considered best practices in terms of how to buy and how to store cryptocurrency. It looks something like this. So you'd set up an account at an exchange. You would send funds to that exchange. You would purchase a hardware wallet, like a Nano would be an example. You would have to set up that wallet with what are called private keys. Basically what that is a bunch of little key code words that are literally written down on a piece of paper as a backup. Then you go to the exchange and make your trades. And the hacks that you hear about over the years generally are from exchanges. So it's best practice to not ever leave cryptocurrency on an exchange. So you have to then send your cryptocurrency to this wallet, this hardware device, and then store it somewhere that you deem safe, as well as the piece of paper. So it's a bit complicated, a bit complex. You know, for very techie people, they've been doing it. Is it scalable to the masses, the average people, a little older demographic? Not so much. And then, of course, if you want to make another trade or go back online and buy or sell again, you're going to have to reverse that process, plug in your device, send your cryptocurrency to the exchange, make your trades, and then obviously send it back. So a bit complex, to say the least. And, of course, because you've got this key card of these words in this device, you have a single point of failure. And that's a big problem, because if somebody were to get a hold of that little piece of paper, they can easily replicate your wallet and steal everything. So anytime you have a single point of failure on any investment, that's not a good thing. You know, you can get robbed, fire. Unfortunately, you know, somebody, if they know about that you have this, and we've actually heard stories of criminals with guns and doing bad things to people to get them to send their assets. It's because of a single point of failure. Of course, the other problem that we've been hearing a lot about here in the last few months is the IRS. They want their cut, and they've sent out thousands of letters to cryptocurrency investors who they feel may not have properly reported their gains over the years. So just to be clear, cryptocurrency is viewed as property, no different than a stock or gold or real estate. So what that means is every trade has to be tracked and gains reported every single year. These investment gains are going to qualify as for capital gains. And so if a position is held for less than 1 year, that's short-term capital gains. So that's going to be taxed no different than income, both at the state and federal level. If a position is held for over 1 year, then that's long-term capital gains. So the federal rate is going to be a little less most of the time, still going to have state taxes where applied. So that the IRS does not feel has been happening, and they are licking their chops to get the money from crypto investors. So what is our solution? So the ITrust solution is to make it as simple and easy as possible for anyone to make these types of investments. So here we have this a visual of our dashboard. So when one has an account with ITrust, this is what they would log in and see. And as you can tell, very simple buys and sells from one interface. Once you're logged in, you can make trades in 3 clicks and literally complete transactions within seconds. First one would serve up a price. Second one, you enter in the amount, you confirm, and you're done. You can literally log out and walk away and not have to worry about anything after that. With ITrust Capital accounts, you see, you're not dealing with single point of failure wallet devices. You're not sending cryptocurrency from an exchange to anywhere else. You don't have a little key card with code words that can be stolen. Everything is going to be moved from the exchange that we lock in the prices with to an institutional wallet provider called Curve. So Curve provides storage for institutional investors, hedge funds, and the security measures done are far superior than what anybody could possibly get with a retail individual device. And of course, because all the accounts at ITrust Capital are IRAs, there is no issue with the IRS. There's no need to report to them. There's no need to send them any taxes. Inside of IRAs, no taxable events occur. So one could literally trade every single day and have massive gains, and there's no reporting necessary. There's no yearly capital gains that are going to need to be paid. With IRAs, all of your gains are either tax deferred or completely tax free. And we'll get into the details on these accounts here in just a bit. So let's talk about the different types of accounts and what qualifies as what. I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. These are the 3 primary IRAs. There's a handful of other names, but they all just do some variation of these accounts. So the most common type of IRA is a traditional IRA, and this is funded with pre-tax dollars. So one would get possibly a tax benefit of a write-off on the funds that go into the account. This is also very common for people to do a rollover from a 401k or some other employer plan into this type of an account. And all gains are going to be tax deferred, hopefully for many years and maybe even many decades until one hits the age of retirement. And then when they start pulling out funds yearly, it'll be taxed as income based on whatever the income bracket is. The thought is that if you're during your prime earning years, you're at your highest tax level in terms of bracket, you're saving money in a deferred way until you're no longer working full-time. Your tax bracket is now much lower because your income has gone down. And now when you start to pull these funds out that have been compounding in terms of gains year over year, the odds are you should be paying a much lower tax rate then than you are during your prime years. The next one, which is a pretty exciting one, especially if it's the first time you've heard about it, is called a Roth IRA. So a Roth IRA is funded with post-tax dollars, meaning funds have already been taxed, and now they're going into this account post-tax, so there's no immediate tax benefit on the initial funds, but the benefit lies in that you're going to grow your account no different than a traditional year over year, compounding gains, but once you hit those later years, the key date is when you hit 59 and a half years old, you can then start pulling out the funds and pay absolutely no tax at all, which is just incredible. If you think about it, hypothetically, if somebody were to put in $5,000 into an account and many decades later, they were very fortunate and it's $5 million, they can literally take out all $5 million and not pay 1 penny in taxes. So pretty substantial. Lastly, is a SEP IRA. So a SEP IRA works very similar to a traditional IRA. It's for self-employed people or business owners, and the benefit there is that they can contribute a substantially more than the other types of accounts on a yearly basis. And we'll get into contributions here in just a moment as well. A couple of key pieces of information to be aware of. It's good to know some general knowledge on IRAs. These accounts, these are nothing new. IRAs have been around since the 70s. They were started to encourage Americans to save more for the future. This is about the time when you started to see private pensions at private companies starting to go away. And if people were to only rely on Social Security for retirement, it's simply not going to be enough. So these programs were set up and created with these tax benefits to get people to save. And I can tell you, it worked really, really well, because today, out of the $27 trillion in U.S. retirement accounts, there's $9 trillion in these accounts alone. So 1/3 of all retirement funds in the entire U.S. are held in IRAs. A couple of rules on the IRAs to be aware of and compliance issues is that all assets in IRAs need to be held by an IRS-approved custodian. So this is the cash while it's in the cash position, or in this case, crypto. Customers cannot hold the investment or hold the assets. If they do, that's considered a distribution. And if you take out a distribution too soon, under the age of 59 and a half, you could be assessed a 10% penalty, and it would be counted as income tax. So you want to be aware of that. Also, just so people know, you're not locked into these accounts. If you open up an account with ITrust Capital and you invest in cryptocurrency, and down the road you decide you want to invest that money in some other investment, that's fine. You can transfer funds from one IRA to another unlimited, without creating any tax expense or any penalties. So you're never locked into just one custodian or one investment indefinitely. So how do you fund these accounts? So there's 4 primary ways to fund. First off, you have a rollover. So this is when you have an existing plan from an employer. So we're talking about 401ks, 403bs, 457s, and TSPs. So if you've left the job for any reason, retired or just decided to move on, you'll be eligible to roll over those funds into an IRA. If you're still working at the job with the account, and you're over the age of 59 and a half, you would still likely be able to move at least a portion of it as a rollover. The next option is a transfer, as we kind of mentioned before. Any transfer from an existing IRA to an IRA, no issues, no penalties, no taxable events. Very simple transaction. In terms of contribution, so for those who have no existing accounts, or they just want to use an existing account and then add to it to either grow the account more or get additional benefits, there are contribution limits. And for 2019, for traditional and Roth IRA contributions, if you're under the age of 50, you can contribute $6,000 this year. If you're over the age of 50, you can do $7,000. And if you are qualified for a SEP IRA, the contribution limit is $56,000. Lastly, we've already helped some clients with a few of these. You can do what's called an in-kind transfer. And what that means is that if you already have an existing Bitcoin or cryptocurrency IRA at a competitor of ours, maybe you're sick of paying the ridiculously high fees, you can open an account with us. We can transfer the investment in kind, meaning not having to liquidate them back into US dollars. They can just shift from one custodian to the next. So the benefit there is you're not missing out on any market movement while the process of transferring funds takes place. In addition, there's no transaction fees on any purchases or sales in that scenario. So when it comes to the IRA itself, ITrust Capital, we're facilitators, but we've partnered with an established IRA custodian in New Mexico, and they're called SunWest Trust. They've been in business for decades. They have over 11,000 clients currently, and they did receive their trust powers from the state of New Mexico in 2002. They're fully regulated, IRS approved to be an IRA custodian. Now, they would be the ones who actually custody all client assets, cash and crypto, to keep it within compliant. ITrust Capital never possesses client funds or investment assets. SunWest Trust never uses client funds, for any kind of business operations. It's always held in custody. And that's really important to know. If a company is using client funds to fund their operation, and they go out of business, that can be a problem. Or if they're trying to be market makers, that could affect the liquidity situation of the investments, and that simply would not work. While client funds are in cash, they are FDIC insured like any other account, and SunWest Trust does maintain a $3 million insurance policy. So how does ITrust fit into all of this? Well, as I mentioned, we're facilitators. So ITrust has built a platform of software to connect all the key components to make this compliant, safe, and easy for customers to use. So from the client dashboard there, you can see very simple, very, as we described, trades within 3 clicks. Now behind the scenes, we're connecting all the dots, the custodian, SunWest Trust, liquidity providers, that would be your various exchanges who provide the buys and sells, and then the secured storage, which would be Curve, and as far as the cryptocurrency is concerned. We've built a platform that locks everything up in a very safe ecosystem. Some enhanced security measures. So it's a bit of a byproduct, but it helps our customers and ensures that their assets will be safe. So we do have a closed ecosystem, and what that means is our system is whitelisted to the various exchanges. So assets behind the scene can only go from Curve wallets to the whitelisted exchanges. They cannot be sent anywhere else. The system will not allow it. Rules have been set. Also, because this system exists where it's closed, and because clients don't have the ability to actually send assets anywhere, clients have the ability to trigger buys and sells in real time, but not send crypto to any wallet they want or receive crypto from outside sources. So why this is really important to note and why it adds a security measure is if there is any vulnerabilities, it would probably come mostly on the customer side, meaning if somebody were to hack or get a hold of someone's login and they were able to get into somebody's dashboard, which is the only really, the way we see it, the only really way they can do it, they wouldn't be able to steal anything. Because from a client's dashboard, there's no ability to send or receive. All they'd be able to do is trigger buys and sells. So sure, they can sell positions or buy positions, but they could not steal funds. And that's really important to note. So are there other companies offering this? Yes, as Morgan mentioned, he was a part of the first company. I've been in this space. So we are very, very familiar with the existing models. So when it comes to other Bitcoin and cryptocurrency IRAs, there's a handful of them. And generally speaking, this is how they operate. So the fees tend to be very high. The average transaction fees at these companies is 10 to 15%. That's right, 10 to 15% for one transaction. That's the standard. Storage on a monthly basis is on average between 5 and 7 basis points for cryptocurrency storage. So it can get pretty pricey, especially as accounts grow and people who are doing larger amounts, those fees add up. And on an average, there's an additional account fee of around $204 per year to maintain accounts. Now, some providers have even more fees. I didn't feel like getting into every single one, but I figured that was probably enough to deter anyone from actually moving forward with those kinds of transaction fees. Also, every single one of these companies in the space employs commissioned salespeople. So when you're talking to a representative whose livelihood is based on the amount that that customer does, probably they're not going to get the greatest advice, and they're definitely not going to get somebody who's actually looking out for them, but somebody who's trying to get them to do as much as possible when that may not be the most suitable for that particular customer. In addition, most, not all, but most of these companies do not have any kind of dashboards and ability for people to log in and trade 24/7, even though cryptocurrency trades 24/7. It's a pretty archaic model that you have to speak to somebody live over the phone, generally Monday through Friday during normal business hours. So this is not a great situation, especially considering it's 2019. Kind of feels like it's maybe 1970. But it restricts the ability to buy and sell, especially in markets like this that are very volatile. If you're not able to transact over an entire weekend, and we see movement like we can see at times, this can really affect the value of your account. Another model that's out there is known as checkbook LLC IRAs. Now, this gets a little confusing. Some of these companies will just call themselves self-directed IRAs. The reality is every IRA is a self-directed IRA. So here's the key things to look at. If they're telling you you need to open up an LLC, a business, a new business, not an existing business, right there, that's your red flag. You know it's a checkbook LLC. So it's very complicated. Here we have listed the 9 steps to doing it. And those 9 steps were taken straight out of an article written by the owner of one of these companies. It looks complicated, and that's because, well, it is complicated. On top of that, there's costs involved to set it up. Some companies charge as much as $2,000 to establish one of these accounts, and then you still have ongoing yearly custodial fees. On the risk side, there's 2 major ones. One, what they're saying is that you have the ability to make your own trades and write checks out of your IRA. Well, then you're back to that single point of failure that you're using your own device and your little keywords that are written down on a piece of paper. So you're back to an unsafe way of storing. And in addition, there's many legal questions whether or not this is even compliant and if it's something that is acceptable. We'll leave that up to the customer to decide if it is something they want to go through. But I can assure anyone being in the space for 10 years, it is very complicated to do. And even if you're not worried about the legality, it's not a very, very easy or fun process. So what makes ITrust Capital different? So after all the years of being in the space, Morgan and I, we've analyzed all the different models, all the different price points, and we've come out with the simplest and most transparent pricing in the space, bar none. It's not even close. Our pricing is this, $29.95 a month, and that covers all of your IRA custodial fees, all the reporting SunWest Trust will take care of. In addition, that includes unlimited institutional storage with Curve. So it doesn't matter if you have $5,000 or $5 million, the account monthly will only cost $29.95 per month. And all trades, regardless of amount, are done with just a 1% transaction fee. On top of that, you won't have to deal with any commission salespeople. When you call and speak to our representatives, you can be assured that they have your best interest at heart and will do everything they can to answer questions and assist. That also, you'll have access to our 24/7 trading platform. So how to get started? Well, it's pretty easy. You'll go to ITrustCapital.com, or I'm sure there'll be a link attached to this video, and just click that. You'll go to our homepage and enter in your email, and click Get Started. Within seconds, you'll be able to open up an ITrust Capital account, and you'll be in the backside with your own personal dashboard. From there, you'll be able to start the online wizard and start entering in your information to establish your new IRA. Our staff will populate all the necessary forms for you and send them to you for review and signature. Once we receive that back, we'll follow up and make sure that your funds are received by SunWest Trust, regardless of the method that's right for you. So in closing, ITrust Capital has created, quite simply, the smartest way to invest in cryptocurrency. It's very easy. You have secured storage, way far superior than an individual would ever have. And of course, you get the substantial tax benefits by utilizing IRAs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that presentation, Blake. And I know
My pleasure.
For people from all different ages, from young to old, you can start early, and you have some great advantages starting early. And the size of the market was another thing that I was amazed about. $9 trillion out there worth of assets that are waiting to be invested. And you can put crypto, you can put gold, and you can diversify your investment. So at a great price that's affordable and fast and easy to get started. So as we wrap up, I'd like to thank you for coming on. And if you have anything else just to offer our audience, we'd like to have some parting closing words from you.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on just a couple things just to make sure people understand. You know, we've built this company. We've put a lot of thought into the model that we've created. We didn't want to just go after people who only have existing retirement accounts. We wanted to build a company that's inclusive of everyone. So we have clients already who have created an account and funded it with just a contribution, not an existing account, for only a few $1,000s. We had a lady recently buy her very first fraction of a Bitcoin on our platform through her new IRA that she contributed. And on the other side of things, we had a customer do an in-kind transfer of over $600,000 in a variety of cryptocurrency from an existing custodian. So we've really built something for everybody. And if there's people out there watching this and they're already doing some trading on another platform, maybe they don't have any retirement accounts, we're saying is just do exactly what you're doing, but on our platform, and receive all these additional benefits. And it's priced such that without having high fees, that it makes sense for somebody with a few thousand all the way up to a few million. Thank you.
I was going to say one thing too, which is vitally important. What's been built here is more than just for the 13 or 14 million people in the US who believe in crypto and blockchain. This is something for everybody. And on the ITrust platform, there is no minimum. There is no minimum contribution. There is no minimum trade. So even if you are unsure about this blockchain and you want just exposure to this new segment, which could potentially take over the world, as we've seen in different dynamics over the decades, this is a chance to get in and just dip your toe in the water. So that's a key point where there is no minimum. If you want to put $500 and start an account, you could do that. So this is priced for everybody, and the platform itself is as simple to use as anything out there. So it's simple enough for someone who's never done this or for the most advanced blockchain tech out there. So this is something for everybody.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about it, and I'm going to look into it myself. And I hope everyone out there is taking a look at this webinar and was able to learn a lot from this, and they're going to be able to take a look at it and see how it's one of the smartest ways to invest in crypto, and they can learn more about it themselves. And it's a great way to get started by checking out this webinar. So thank you for coming on, and hopefully we'll be able to talk about this again later on as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David.